Hi, I'm Darley Newman, and we are channeling our Scandinavian roots here in North Dakota at the Scandinavian Heritage Park.
People that made it, they're pretty hardy people.
We're hanging out with Guido and learning about a large-scale public art project here in Minot.
Old things mixed with new things in Devil's Lake.
I like coming up here to get away from people. Here's a walleye.
Whoa, amazing.
In the past, it's always been considered a sacred area.
We're wine tasting in the greater Grand Forks area of North Dakota.
So these are all cold climate grapes.
We're trying award-winning
T-Rex
pizza.
Yep, I'd say Grand Forks is extremely supportive.
We're having classic cocktails at Harry's Steakhouse. Cheers.
Cheers.
We're taking an epic road trip from Minot through Devil's Lake and on to Grand Forks. Welcome to Travels with Darley in North Dakota along Highway 2. We're traveling Highway 2 in North Dakota, from the city of Minot through Devil's Lake and on to Grand Forks. This road trip reveals hidden gems, street art, Scandinavian culture, fishing, ice hockey farmers markets, and small city charm, sharing a North Dakota that not even some locals know about. We're starting our adventures in Minot, called the Magic City due to its speedy settlement following railroad expansions. Today, the city is located in central North Dakota, just 50 miles from the U.S. border with Canada, and has a large population with Scandinavian roots, which we're discovering at the Scandinavian Heritage Park with volunteer Kay Watson.
You're in the only park in the world that's dedicated to all 5 Nordic countries: Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, and Finland.
And we have this amazing church up here.
The term stav, and this is considered a stav church, is synonymous with Gothic. This is an exact replica of a church that was built in 1250 AD in Gule, Norway.
Why did so many Scandinavians settle here in North Dakota?
People that made it, they're pretty hardy people. It took a lot of perseverance to make it on a farm, especially you can imagine in the winter. That really is why we're here, so that people can learn a little bit more about their heritage and feel a connection to it.
I'm excited. This is making me want to explore my heritage more. I'm half Swedish and a quarter Finnish.
I am really feeling my Scandinavian roots here in Minot. Kay outfits me in traditional attire from Norway. I'm wearing a bunad.
You can tell where people are from in Norway by the style of their dress. We know it's from the Hardanger region because of the beautiful embroidery on the bottom of the apron, and also the beautiful beaded breastplate. And at your neckline is a piece of Solia jewelry.
This trip to Scandinavia in Minot wouldn't be complete without a steamy sauna, which happens to be right on site. It's where I meet Bruce Carlson.
Sisu. What is sisu?
Sisu.
Sisu.
Yeah, with great gusto and determination, you say sisu. You're out in the field and you're hauling hay bales, you're all itchy. Sisu, get the job done so you can come home and jump in the sauna.
The Finnish sauna is your contribution here at the Scandinavian Heritage Park.
Yep, it's all done by hand. It's done without nails. You know, wooden dolls, we're extremely proud of it.
How often are you jumping in this sauna?
We'll light it anytime anybody wants it lit.
From the sauna to silo art. I'm traveling just a few minutes away to meet artist Guido Van Helton. He's taken on a massive project, painting the defunct downtown Union silos into symbols of the Minot community's history and culture.
How did you get inspired to take on this pretty epic project here in Minot?
This project is in line with a series of works I've been doing in the Midwest and also across the world on grain silos. So Minot reached out to me and said, well, we have a location, we'd love to bring this to our community. And of course, I never say no. So it's simple as that.
Guido spent time interviewing and photographing members of the Minot community to better understand the area's culture and history before deciding what to paint on the silos.
The Upper Midwest has captured me in a way. Spotlighting different communities can only help to break down barriers and walls of understanding between different points of view, and it's been an overarching theme of the work.
What has surprised you the most about Minot?
Minot has kept a lot of its initial identity, including these silos. They have a really nice downtown. It's got a lot of old historic buildings. The arts community downtown Minot is very close-knit and special.
You can admire the silos from various vantage points in downtown Minot. including a popular local coffee shop, where I sit down with Tim Bauman, part of the Union Silos project.
Tim, it's so neat that we could sit here and see this art in the making.
Yeah, this is gonna be North Dakota's largest work of public art. Those silos were the heart of the community for so many years. When you talk to people in the community, they're like, oh, I used to drive grain there, or I used to ride in the truck when my grandpa would drive grain there. Then we had a big, huge flood in 2011, and so they've just been sitting unused for about 2 decades now. When people come to Minot, they see all of the public murals, all of the public art. They see this really vibrant arts community out in the middle of the prairies.
Another place to explore street art is just beside the coffee shop at Citizens Alley, where Jessica Ackerman meets me.
Well, our community didn't have a downtown gathering place, and so we saw the opportunity tucked in this underdeveloped alley to turn it into a place for connection. And so it was really created to be human-sized, kind of tucked off the main thoroughfare, but yet right here in this urban environment.
Tell me a little bit about the design of the alley, because I understand it was quite intentional.
The design of the alley really was to create a space for people to come year-round for a variety of activities. One day you could be having pickleball competitions, but that evening you could flip the space over and have live music events.
I'm taking a break and checking out the food and beverage scene here in Minot at a place that carries on Minot's theme of surprising finds. At Atypical Brewery and Barrel Works, so named for the unusual barrel-aged beers and the brewery's A-frame building, co-owner Nick Holwinger meets me outside of the brewery for a food truck snack, starting with mini donuts.
Get my nacho workout on here.
And moving on to loaded nachos.
Cheers. You know what's gonna go well with this? Some atypical beer. Let's do it.
Inside, head brewer Eric Johnson and I get to tasting.
Ooh, this is different. It is atypical.
Absolutely. Kanpai Samurai.
Kanpai Samurai.
Yeah, Japanese rice lager. It also has a hint of lemon in there, so that's super refreshing for the summertime.
Any place that I come that has amazing food trucks, is dog friendly, and has good beer, it's a win.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Time to adventure outside in North Dakota.
We're just about 15 minutes outside of downtown Minot. We're at the Minot Family Outdoor Recreation Area, one of many places to easily get outside and get out on accessible trails here in the Minot area. People love to hike, they bike, they bring their dogs and take a walk out here and take in the beauty of nature, the prairie grasses, the bird life. It's just a wonderful way to be so close to downtown and yet a world away.
Another place to adventure is about a 2-hour drive from Minot along Highway 2 in the Devil's Lake area, where Colleen Grau and a bunch of bison welcome me to the entrance of White Horse Hill National Game Preserve.
We've had elk and the bison here. We manage the herd to be around 20 to 25. Today they're in the water.
They're taking their break. They're using their pool here.
Yeah, the pool, the local pool.
And stay here.
We've got hiking trails that are outside of the big game area and the wildlife area where people can hike, and they can hike through those wetland and up and down some hills and into the prairies and the woodlands. So there's such a diversity here. Only 2% of North Dakota is woodland, so you have a treat today of seeing part of that naturally wooded area.
This is what a lot of people come here for, White Horse Hill.
Right, so this is the namesake. This is the hill, and the stairs were built here many years ago. It still was an attraction to just hike the hill because, you know, North Dakota doesn't have a lot of hills. So.
This hill is a natural part of the landscape.
It is, and so this was developed from glaciers that pushed up and kind of scoured out the Devil's Lake Basin. And 10,000 years ago, when the glaciers retreated, these hills were left behind. Tully's Hill, when it was named in 1904, was named after this American general, and so quite fitting that we've renamed it now to White Horse Hill.
The name was changed in 2019 at the request of the Spirit Lake Nation. The name honors a sacred wild white stallion that once roamed the area. The view from the top?
You look back and you see a huge landscape. You can probably see 90 miles from the top.
To learn more about the Spirit Lake Nation, I head over to what's known as Ski Jump Hill, where Kenneth Graywater Jr. of Ski Jump Adventures Spirit Lake is sharing more about what this area means to him and why he's offering travelers recreation opportunities at the hill where he grew up skiing.
I could see the jump from our backyard. And in '97 is when they stopped skiing here because the lake came up 25 feet and flooded the area.
Devil's Lake began to rise starting in 1993, and it would for many years, flooding out farms, roads, and communities. It wasn't until 2014 that a levee was completed, protecting the city of Devil's Lake from flooding. But still today, many area farms and roads are underwater. Since Ski Jump Hill is once again dry, Kenneth has been able to welcome travelers and the community for tubing and winter fun, as well as cultural events.
I believe it's very important that we share our culture and really our story of our people here, which are the Dakota people of the Spirit Lake Nation or Spirit Lake tribe. In the past, it's always been considered a sacred area.
Kenneth shares the full story of how White Horse Hill got its name.
People had accounts of this white horse or this white stallion running through the hills in that specific area and really being uncatchable and a predominant feature in the landscape. Congress was the one that established the refuge. So because of an oral story, you're able to use an act of Congress to change the name, which is an awesome win for us and the people of Spirit Lake. I was tied to the land to care for it like our ancestors did, in the sense that we treat it with respect and we try to use it as best we can and preserve it.
I'm heading to downtown Devil's Lake, where interesting architecture abounds. Devil's Lake dates back to 1882. As homesteaders descended to take advantage of free land to set up farms, the area boomed. The Devil's Lake Commercial District has over 45 properties listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which span from 1885 to 1937, including the property which now houses Black Paws Brewing Company.
You grew up here, but you went away for a while, came back, and have rehabbed one of these beautiful historic buildings into now a brewery.
This building was for sale, and it turned out to be exactly what I was looking for in a building to put a brewery in.
Jeb Elke and I are walking with his Newfoundland dog, Norm.
Norm now is definitely the mascot of the brewery. It's kind of tough to run into someone that's been in Devil's Lake for a long time that doesn't associate our family with this breed of dog.
Jeb and his dad have raised many Newfoundland dogs.
Come on, buddy.
And have gone on to help people throughout the West and Midwest in search and rescue operations. So it's fitting that we're toasting Norm.
Norman Conquest, named after our mascot, is a British style. It's an extra special bitter.
Cheers to Norm.
Cheers, Norm.
If you're heading to Devil's Lake, you might want to pick up a fishing rod. This area is well known for its exceptional fishing, and Kyle Blanchfield helps travelers get out easily from his woodland resort, where you can rent everything you need for a day on the lake, and also get set up with local guides for fishing excursions.
Kyle, Woodland Resort, this property has been in your family for multiple generations.
Yeah. So my grandpa bought the property in the 1940s. My mother grew up here, and my sons both work here, so I'm Gen 3, my kids are Gen 4. It's pretty cool.
What makes Devil's Lake here so good for fishing?
It's a big lake. It's 200,000 acres of water. It has an incredible food base, and then there's just not a lot of people here. That's up to a great walleye fishery.
And what you catch can be served up at the on-site restaurant.
I'm gonna try this walleye. This could have been a fish that I caught today.
Absolutely. You know, when you go fishing with the guides, they'll clean the fish, they'll bring them into the restaurant, and then you can eat them up.
Black him, little spice, very fresh.
Then you want to talk about fresh fish. It was just swimming in the lake a few hours ago, right? And that's part of the charm, that's part of the fun, and that's what people come to do.
Beautiful morning.
Gotta get up early to get those fish.
I'm waking up early to go fishing with local guide Steve Zippy Dahl, otherwise known as Zippy. His Perch Patrol guiding service gets me everything I need for a day on the lake, and Zippy knows the best spots to catch a fish.
So what are the best places to fish out here? How do you know?
Being on the water every day helps.
Yeah.
You know, so you get kind of your spots. So you want to aim your rod down.
Okay.
I reel in a fish in under 5 minutes.
You got one.
A record time for me.
Oh, wow, I'm so lucky today.
There's a walleye.
Whoa, that's huge.
Nice walleye.
Wow. I've fished a bunch of times.
See why I'm in a hurry to get here?
Look at this. Amazing. Awesome.
Back in Devil's Lake, I'm stopping for coffee before my drive further down Highway 2. At the local coffee shop, I happen to be asking where to find the murals in Devil's Lake when I hear that one of the artists is at the coffee shop. So I get Carla Fruchette to tell me about the murals she created.
Dan just had a bright idea. Dan owns the Liquid Bean, and
this is Dan with the half selfie.
It is, so it just seemed fitting to put it on the wall.
Cheers to Dan. With the local coffee shop, and then another one right here.
That mural is some of the staples in Devil's Lake. There's some Native American culture involved in that as well. There is a lot of diversity here, I think, that people don't know about. We have a nice mix of people.
From Devil's Lake, I'm driving about an hour and a half to Grand Forks, where ice hockey, farmers markets, and local art vibes combine with unexpected pairings. I've visited Grand Forks in the past and had the privilege of attending a hockey game, so I'm excited to step inside the arena for a behind-the-scenes tour with Jody Hodgson.
Welcome to Ralph Engelstad Arena, the home of the University of North Dakota hockey program. This is where 11,700 people gather to watch UND hockey on a nightly basis. Each of the last 14 years nationally, North Dakota hockey program is the highest attended hockey team in North America outside the NHL. So pretty lucky in a small community like ours.
Well, I think a lot of fans, they want to know what happens behind the scenes here.
Yeah, let's go see it. So if you were a recruit at the University of North Dakota, this is how you'd enter the men's hockey area.
Through these doors walk champions.
Through these doors walk champions.
And this is where the champions hang out. They practice, they get ready. How cool to be down here.
So this is the North Dakota hockey locker room. This is really the heartbeat of the hockey program, and this is where the players spend the bulk of their time together.
I feel like being in here is giving me good sports vibes.
I like it.
There's even a high-altitude weight room and turf area where athletes can work on their speed and agility.
We got a skills room in there with synthetic ice. You want to go shoot some pucks? There you go. There you go. Scores.
From underground weight rooms to weighty rooftop pizzas, entrepreneur Matt Winjum started Rhombus Guys Pizza and has several locations in North Dakota. But this one is special.
We are the only rooftop here in Grand Forks, and we kind of got the ideas from traveling around.
When I told people around Grand Forks I was coming here, this is what they told me to order.
The best meat eater pizza, the T-Rex. It's pepperoni, Canadian bacon, sausage, beef, and bacon. 5 meats. And it's won us a ton of awards. It's got us a lot of recognition, and it still is by far and away our top-selling pizza.
It's meaty, it's salty, savory, cheesy. I think a T-Rex would come back for this.
Oh, what an honor. I'm glad you loved it.
Well, cheers.
Absolutely, cheers.
I didn't expect to find a vineyard in this part of the United States. But the greater Grand Forks area is home to popular family-run Grape Mill Vineyard and Winery, where Matthew Halverson and his mom put out award-winning wines, dog mascot included.
Could you pick a sweeter mascot for this winery? I don't think so.
Sunny is the winery dog. She's the greeter at the winery. This is our family farm.
Your son, who went to University of North Dakota, he's making the wines.
He does everything from start to finish, and Mom and Dad just kind of help it whenever that they need.
I did entrepreneurship at the University of North Dakota, and my final project was a business plan for a winery.
What types of grapes are you able to grow here in this more harsh winter climate?
So these are all cold climate grapes. They were developed by the University of Minnesota to withstand our Minnesota winters. We have 6 different varieties, and we planted our first ones back in 2006, just 200 back then, and today we have just over 2,000.
And the community comes out to sip wine in a cool and fun setting. I'm going from wine to chocolate at longtime family-run Widman's Candy Shop with a must-try in Grand Forks, the Chipper. Christian Widman is helping to carry on this family tradition.
What exactly is a chipper?
Chipper is an old Dutch potato chip and chocolate. The store was established in 1949, and the chipper has always been our main thing. It's what put us on the map.
Crispy potato chip with that sweet but also salty chocolate.
It's just the right amount of salt.
I can see how these would be addictive.
For dinner in Grand Forks, I'm dining with Ava Gardner vibes at Harry's Steakhouse with Hal Gershman.
How would you describe Harry's?
Well, it's a throwback. And what's interesting is the young people don't know this, but they feel it when they come in, that there's something special about the feel with the red leather and the carpeting and just the brick. And then we have sound suppression here. We wanted to create that atmosphere with the proper lighting, sound control so people could talk. And I think we've done it.
If you're coming to Harry's, you have to order a cocktail or mocktail, and definitely get the hash browns. Local coffee shops are a great place to get to know a local area, including tips for things to see and do. And my coffee shop lands me right by the Town Square Farmers Market, a bustling market with diverse food trucks, produce, crafts, and art. Don Rognerud is leading me through.
We've been here 25 years. Just after the flood of '97, they redid this space, and they really wanted something to program and to bring people downtown. Town Square Farmers Market was the answer to that.
Are you Charlotte?
I am Charlotte.
Charlotte's here herself with a lefse.
Mashed potatoes rolled out, fried on the grill.
It's like a morning treat.
It is so delicious.
It's wonderful that you're bringing your heritage and traditions here to the market.
Yep, it's a dying art. Both the donuts and the lefse are a dying art. So we got to keep them going.
Charlotte's a staple here at our market, and we absolutely love regional dishes like this. This is Allard's Produce. Allard's has been coming here almost 25 years, and they're a generational producer.
This is a vibrant market.
The community loves to come out and just enjoy everything they have to offer, and then just have that conversation with their local producer.
Just steps away from the market, I'm walking the Greenway.
There's over 20 miles of trails here. People are walking, people are hiking, and what's really fun, we're in Grand Forks, North Dakota here, but if you take that bridge right across, you end up in Minnesota.
If you're at the Town Square Farmers Market or in downtown Grand Forks, you'll notice the Grand Forks mural.
You did this mural in collaboration with two other female artists.
Becca Kruger and Jamie Sebi. We titled ourselves the Three Brushketeers.
Senta Loren Gradzileski is one of the artists.
So we tried to focus on local establishments that are really recognizable in our community. So we have the Red Pepper, which is a landmark restaurant, Urban Stampede coffee shop, Widman's. We have some hockey, which is big in North Dakota. Towards the end here, we made sure to include the Grand Forks Air Force Base because that's a big part of our community.
Senta herself has served in the Air Force for over a decade and a half.
And there is an arts community here in Grand Forks.
Absolutely. I'd say Grand Forks is extremely supportive.
Just across the street, I'm meeting David Badman, whose artwork is also on display around downtown Grand Forks, and who's been a staple of the community for decades.
So Dave, you've been here in Grand Forks and doing this since 1988.
Yes. I took a jewelry class at UND. I had a jewelry professor that said, hey, I really like your design work. And I said, well, jewelry's for girls. And she's like, nope, wrong. Started doing it, loved it.
You make large-scale works and also these intricate works of jewelry.
Yep.
Tell me about the name.
But yeah, Badman, it's my real last name, and it didn't work well as a child, but as an adult, it's worked really well, and it is very recognizable. My coworkers and myself did something we don't typically do. We tag teamed on a project to get something done quickly. So we created something perfect for you.
Ooh, is that my birthstone?
Yes.
To me, the top looks like almost like a map.
Absolutely.
Travel themed.
Yep, topographic.
I'll always have a piece of Grand Forks BD with me.
There you go.
Dave, the bad man, that's a good man.
Yep.
Thanks so much for joining us on this Highway 2 road trip through North Dakota. We've had awesome adventures. We've made great friends as we've traveled. We've gone fishing. We've gone hiking. We've explored street art. We've had such great food. But most of all, we've had great experiences meeting the locals. Thanks so much for joining me on Travels with Darley back in North Dakota. And thanks for watching. You have a spider on you. I'm just gonna, okay, there we go.
There you go.
There's nothing in our coffee cups. I feel like this is like slightly crooked.
Oh, that means historic downtown Grand Forks. I don't know if I had to say that. Hey.
Oh, there's another dog over there.
Yeah, we're not gonna get much of his attention.
Now's where we decide if we're gonna climb this hill or not.
Maybe on a cooler day.